Oh man. The whole point is the shirt on here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Embarrass the shit out of yourself.
Keep the conversation, as random as possible.
And you're doing a fine job on your end.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to JG's Lounge. We're back with another episode of Stardom. It's been a while, guys, for the Stardom show at least. We're up to 19 shows on JG's Lounge, so I've been pretty busy. Sean's cranking out episodes down there beneath us, man. Sean, how you doing?
Very well this morning. I'm fresh as a daisy, and I love these Stardoms, man. So I'm excited about it.
And a good buddy of his that I've recently met. He's a great guy. Jerry, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, sir.
Good.
Doing
Jerry,
great.
Jerry with a G.
Jerry with the G.
That's
yeah,
great.
it's the mutant spelling.
Do you get a lot of shit for that?
I used to, but it was like one of those things where it's like when you're younger, it was a thing. But then when I learned to defend myself, they kind of leave you alone, because that's really one of those things that makes you funny. It's like, right. Having a bad name. Because the standard things are coming because the dumbasses are always going to go for the first part. I was Jerry the Hairy Fairy for a very long time.
And what I'm saying is, folks, trauma
builds good comedy. So if your kids seem down, they're probably not good. They'll be funny down the road. So be good with it. It's all right. Don't dope them up. Let them be depressed. It's all good. We need comedy.
You know what a Hairy Fairy is called today, right?
No.
A bear.
A bear. Oh, there you go. Well, I was Jerry Berry for a while. And if you take the first three letters of my first name and the last three letters of my last name, it spells gerbil. So I was gerbil for a while too, which is not a cool name to have, especially when I was going through a dateless streak. I guess
my last name was Shank.
Yeah.
I didn't even point that out. Yep. Your last name's Shank.
But you could get shanked in the shower and that's cool.
Yes.
I'm a gerbil, dude. That's not, is a
stanky rank Shank, big fat steak, like a tank, itty bitty crank.
Nice.
My dad wanted to name me Chester, and all I can think about is with my red hair is Chester Cheeto, and like just being called Chester Cheeto my whole life.
Really?
Or Chester the Molester?
Or Chester the Molester. Actually.
Oh, really? Wow, that's kind of harsh.
That
was. How do you argue against that one?
That was standard. I don't know where that originates from, but like that's from elementary days.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a child as a child molester, is that like a thing? Is that a double negative? Or can you be a child molester?
Like if my name was Chester the Molester as a kid, if kids were calling me Chester the Molester and I was in elementary school, I can't really be a molester if I'm in an elementary school.
Yeah, that'd be dating.
He's got a point.
No trafficking here. No.
Well, a few more shout outs here about the channel. With there being 19 shows now, we actually had 137,000 views last month, guys. That's fantastic.
That's great.
We're killing it. Yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you. It feels good. I plan on continuing to grow, bringing on more than just podcasts. I've been reaching out to some independent filmmakers, maybe try to get some like short films and stuff put on the channel. But with that being said, I want to kind of get into today's topic. Jerry, Sean's been on here a few times. You haven't. Have you ever been in those weird situations where like you're walking down the street and you wave at somebody because they're waving at you and you realize they're actually waving at somebody behind you?
All the time. I still do that now. I'm overly conscious about it because I'm like, I don't want to be rude because I don't know that I forget people's faces and names and shit. And then I'm like, some dude rolls up and I'm like, oh, hey, how you doing? And then they'll roll by and I'll just pretend I have schizophrenia. And it works. And then I'm like, pretend, yeah.
I'll do like that half wave and then I'll like scratch the back of my head.
Right.
That's the topic for today. Just kind of awkward encounters.
Okay. Well, okay. You want me to just tell you about one?
Go ahead and throw. Each of you guys can throw one out, and then I'll start reading some of them off.
Well, no, I've got the solution for the wave, and they're not waving at you.
Yeah.
Do it.
Just walk up to them with your hand outstretched like that. Just go and shake their hand. Make it awkward for everybody.
Mm-hmm. What you got, Jerry? You said you had a situation.
Well, I mean, awkward was like about 8 hours ago at the first show in Waveland when I did a set at the end of the show, and it was like I got critiqued on jokes they didn't like, and those are always awkward because my first impulse is to smash their skulls. But no, I'm just kidding. I don't do that anymore. But it's one of those things where you got to sit there and take criticism because you don't want to blow the gig for another dude,
right?
And you always want to get invited back or whatever. But then to be critiqued on it, and it's just like, lady, the moment you get stage time, I want you to come and call me, and then we can talk on an equal level, But it's just like, joke doesn't work, jokes fail. Got to go out and publicly pillory somebody, and then it's like customer service, comedy customer service. I'm standing out there trying to make the customer happy, fully realizing we're going to give a refund on this free show.
Right?
It's like, what the fuck you want? Maybe if you didn't talk through the whole set, it would have been a lot more enjoyable for you. I don't know. Who am I?
15 minutes back.
Right. But we had 2 shows, so I didn't walk away with stink on it. So the next night, and then the next show, I got my first person asked me for an autograph, which was weird. Because now I'm like, at what point? That's why I'm growing my hair out. In case they have that David Bowie thing, people need strands of hair. I just want to make sure I got excess. I'm stockpiling merch is what I call it.
Actually, I've had a lot of comedians actually tell me that they get critiqued after the shows.
Yeah. Everybody thinks they can do it, and then they'll tell you a joke to let you know how that you could improve your act, which is really, really great. Because I'm like, oh yeah, you're gonna steal somebody else's shit to tell me that. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's a racist joke too. That's a weird thing.
Right.
I had it was 7th grade science class, and we had a special needs kid who had like one of the teachers that goes with them to the classes, and we were talking about NASA, and I was very adamant about this joke that I had about NASA, meaning need another 7 astronauts, and yes, and the kids teacher had a kid who passed away during the training of NASA, and she was not very happy with me by the end of it, and told me that I really need to watch like who I tell jokes to and how I, because you never know who you're gonna upset. Blah, blah, blah. I remember it being a whole speech.
Right. That's pretty.
You know what I would have told her? Hey, the moon landing was faked, and you believe a bunch of lies. Have a nice day.
Right. If he went up on his ship, he would have never died because none of them ever did.
No.
So, did they all go get other jobs at Harvard, or what happened there? What do we?
Yes, there's. It's a whole other thing, but we're gonna co-opt this podcast for something else.
Well, yeah. Well, you gotta get the message out no matter how. So. You gotta squander a few NASA kids. That's what it takes.
It's already happening, folks.
So then the question is, how did he die?
I don't remember. I don't think she even told me.
Yeah. That's how most cover-ups are.
Well, I mean, there was the other joke was, remember the teacher that blew up, a long time ago,
right.
And it was like, what color were her eyes? Blue. One blew that way, one blew the other.
Right. Yeah. NASA had to use Sprite because they couldn't get 7-Up.
Or how do you fit 7 astronauts into a Volkswagen? 1 in the driver's seat and 6 in the ashtray. One in the driver's seat in the ashtray. Yeah.
All right, we're steering a little off topic here, but
we're punishing that person that critiqued you.
It's good.
Yeah.
Actually, I really wish I knew her name because
I'd be like, maybe you should get a thicker skin, lady. Sorry that we can't stop the world to keep you from hearing anything and hurt your widow feelings. But,
it would be nice if people could handle satire better. I feel like the world's too sensitive.
Well, that's why you have it in the building. It's got to be marked comedy club because otherwise they're too stupid to notice that this is a joke. Like if you don't say it in public, people don't know we're at that level. I
mean, shit, we had to put a disclaimer on Sean's blurred lines. I mean, we didn't have to, but I mean, it protects you. I mean,
right? Isn't that crazy?
Entertainment, folks. None of it's real. Don't believe anything I say.
All right, so I got an awkward encounter. I'm going to read here, and then we'll discuss it. All right.
Okay.
It says, I was in a park and a lady loudly called out, anyone who wants an ice cream, come over here. I headed over with several others. She handed out ices to them and all, then asked me who I was. I realized the rest were her family. 30 years later, I still cringe.
I wouldn't feel awkward about that one, and I'll tell you why. Because I would have made a joke about it right off the bat. I was like, "Oh, we asked if anybody wanted ice cream." I'm like, I love ice cream, and I'm sure if you like played around with her a little bit, she probably would have been like, "Oh, well, here's some ice cream." You know, if she wasn't a total, to use the vernacular, the Karen.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like that seems like an innocent moment that could have been like very playful between people if everybody had a sense of humor about it. But I mean, I get the cringe. Like you walk over, it's like, oh, I get sorry. But
Right.
that one seems a little bit, kind of innocent to me.
I feel like with the management in me, I would be like, you need to be more detailed when you're calling it out.
You've got a lecture.
Right.
You're gonna give me a hard time. How about you specify family only, okay?
Right.
By the way, nobody likes Rocky Road, okay?
It would be funny is if you get over there, you have the awkward moment, and you laugh about it. She's like, "Well, let me give you some ice cream," and then she hands it to you, and you're like, "Oh, Rocky Road, gross, bitch."
I have allergies. Do you have anything that doesn't have any ice in it?
Did you use a stainless steel scoop? There's a lot of stuff in that. I'm gonna need a silicone only, okay?
Right.
The only awkward situations that I've really encountered in parks is when I'm taking my kids to the park, and there's other kids that are coming up and interacting with me as an adult. I'm a 35-year-old scruffy man, and there's this little kid trying to interact with me, and there's no parent around, and you're like trying to not to interact with the kid because you don't want to look odd.
Right.
Have you had anything weird happen in the park, Jerry?
That I was directly doing, or was no.
He's been asked to leave a few folks.
And they do that. They don't, you can't go hunting. They don't like it.
I expect him to throw out like an ice cream stand that he once had in the park.
Right. Well, that's where you go get them. It's morel hunters. They have all the ice cream money because this time of year they're out there getting those morels, so they get the big ones. So you got to go out to where they're at, and then you could take it at point because morels like $18 a pound. I mean, it's cash, man.
I've done it.
That's better than growing weed. It's you right as far as the cash flow goes. So yeah, I'd rob a dude in the park a few times maybe, but those are always awkward, because they usually don't bring weapons, which is kind of cool. That's in the woods. Normally they would be armed if they weren't in a park, but now that they're in a park, it's like a gun-free zone. So easy pickings, morel season, loving it.
Jerry with the G robbed a guy of morels.
Right. It was a morels. It sounds like a morals clause joke. Sorry, it's too early.
I hate the taste of mushrooms, but I love the taste. I hate the texture. So I do take morels and I'll like puree them into like a steak sauce.
Oh, that's cool.
Use it as like a steak sauce, but I can't like just.
Have you ever tried them fried?
It's that weird inner texture thing. I don't know. It's just
no. I get it. I'm not a mushroom guy either, but when it's fried morels or it like the hibachi steakhouse where they have the thinly sliced mushroom in the soups.
Yeah,
I can do those two things, but otherwise I'm like with you. It's the texture that gets me.
Yeah, I can do the hibachi soups because I just usually swallow it. You don't even tell.
Yeah.
All right, next up. I was at the airport and the TSA agent told me to scan my license face down, but I just heard scan your face down. So I put my face on the scanner and waited. I wish that was a joke, but no, it happened and the TSA guy could not stop laughing, and now I have to go into WITSEC.
Well, take credit for it. It's less awkward. Then you look like a genius. This is a problem. You made a misread. You just be like, yeah, no, dude. Of course, I'm a hilarious officer. Please don't check my butt.
He's on something, and we need to get to do strip search.
And then it's awkward.
Yeah,
that's really more awkward.
The strip
having some dude have to lift your sack to see if you got like shampoo under there or some kind of liquid because you're not supposed to bring liquids on planes or something. I don't know. I don't fly.
I've never
not getting me on a plane. Sorry.
I've done it twice, so I haven't had I've dropped people off there multiple times, but I've only flown twice.
Yeah, I usually just take when I take people to the airport, it's just to be a witness, just to say the last time I saw them, they got on a plane, and that way I can be like, if anything happens to them down the road, I can specifically put my phone in a location that says that I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I too. I've the last few months I've flown out of the country and flown across the country, and every time I go through, I just try to look very unassuming. And I know I'm white as an Iowa farmer, so I probably look like I'm not going to do anything nefarious. But when I was flying to the Bahamas, they were doing a random check, and right in front of me, they pulled this little old like hunched over like white haired lady to do like a full thing, and I was just like,
Wow.
God,
Wow.
But who knows? Maybe the terrorists are using old white ladies. I don't.
Or they check every hump, I'm told. So she's.
I've seen
so
old
got
ladies
a hatch
get
on
busted.
it.
I've seen old ladies get busted on motor carts stealing shit, man. It happens. Like you don't think about it, and they probably think, oh well, nobody's gonna suspect us, so they do it.
Right.
Well, it's tough on the face scans because of the extra wrinkles and shit.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's like stretch out your face. No, we need to see the whole thing.
Right. Grab the back of your head and take the slack out just as you go through the cameras. They'll be like,
like
Man,
with the Homer when he lost all the weight.
Right.
They like
he tied the skin behind him.
Back. The only like I said, I've dropped people off at the airport, and there's one thing that happens at the airport every time I go, and it actually is pretty frequent all the time, is when people like try to cut you off or like speed in front of you just to get into the same predicament that you're in, like that dead stop traffic.
Right.
And then you're like right next to each other, and you just like lock eyes at them, and you're like, you fucking dumbass, because they try to just cut you off, and like they're just some cool shit trying to get somewhere, and there's nowhere for them to go.
That's just when you smile at them because kind of illustrate the ridiculousness. Like it's the same thing as when you're driving down the road and some asshole just swirling around you to get all the way down the road, and then you pull up to the stoplight and you're right behind them. And I do the same thing every time. I look up they see in the rear view, and I go. It's because it's just like, dude, your ridiculousness got you here a little bit faster, but we're in the same spot. So what'd you win? What prize?
All right, next up. I broke up with my girlfriend at a restaurant, and she started crying. Everyone thought I had proposed, so they started clapping.
That's like karma. That's just karma playing out. That's hilarious. Take your omens where they are, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God, that's lovely.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
she's sitting there crying, and everybody's like, "Yeah, fuck that bitch, yeah."
We know what you did. We know what you did. We've seen your OnlyFans account.
We're all friends with Kevin. We all came here to say,
right.
You.
We saw you with that guy last night too.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's holy cow.
It's like when you bring witnesses to a breakup, because you want to make sure that the story's told properly. So you tell it in front of 30 people.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are always fun though. It's like it's not you, it's me, but you don't want to say that. So you like try to come up with like this crazy, like elaborate. So here's the bullet points as to why this isn't working.
Right.
You know what? I've just discovered something. Jukebox likes lists. If it's a lady that's giving out ice cream improperly or breakups, it's like, let me explain how you're doing this incorrectly.
Right.
Well, I've managed right out of high school. I've always managed, dude. So it's kind of just like it's sculpted in my brain. I don't even write lists. I just kind of mentally create a list.
Right.
Can I share a very awkward, like super cringy moment?
I love it.
That is adjacent to this.
The cringier, the better. Actually.
Oh, this is, I promise. And Gerry can identify with this, and you'll understand when we get into it. So
nowadays, you can identify as whatever you want. So.
Right.
Very true. Well, okay. So this last weekend at our club, the Underground, a guy proposed to his wife during the show. Now, proposing in a comedy club is never a good idea. Never do it. It's horrible. It's stupid. Do not do it. Okay. It never goes well. It didn't go well this last weekend. But the moment I'm talking about is I was doing the connections in Toledo, and I was told before the show that this guy wants to propose to his girlfriend. And the guy was talking to me and the manager about it. The manager's like, "Oh yeah, Sean's a good MC. He'll be able to handle it." And the guy says, "Well, can you make it part of the act? Like you're bringing us up on the stage?" And I'm like, "I don't bring people up on stage for any reason." And he's like, "But could you do it?" And the manager's looking at me, and I'm like, "Okay." So they're sitting center stage, right front row. And he is a wispy, and I only met him at first, and he was like a wispy little neck beardy guy, maybe weighed 100 pounds, had 3 hairs for his mustache. Then when I saw them sitting up front, I knew I was in trouble because she was a 10, like a dead 10, right? And I realized, like, uh-oh, like either he's rich, has a big wiener, or she is going out with this guy just being nice because she can't say no. So I'm like,
I think I know where this is going.
Yeah.
oh, dude. So the room had, I think, 175 people in it, packed. I'm like, all right, here's the portion of my set that I didn't know that I'm bringing people on stage. But hey, how about you? And so he gets up on stage. She's already looking around like, what is going on? And I say, hey, before I get started, you have something you want to say? And he goes, yes, I do. He gets down on one knee, whips out the box, goes like this, and she looks down at him and goes, oh no. And she goes, Scott, why would you do this?
Why, Scott?
Yeah, why, Scott? And
I'll tell you why, Scott, because she's a 10 and you got no chance. And the only way you can make this look like relevant is to do it in a comedy club where everybody's going to laugh at the inevitability of this. I mean, seriously.
Dude, and
Jerry Lewis asked the hot chick out on stage. How is that not going to be funny?
Well, and he says, will you marry me? And she goes, oh no. And she puts her head in her hand, and he literally looks around nervously and goes, please? Like that. And it just, like, you could feel like the awkward and the cringe.
Oh, God.
I'm looking down in the front row, and people are like, they're doing this. I look back, the manager's going, and I'm like, this is, how dare you? And she's just like, Scott, why would you? She's like under her breath cursing him. And
because I gotta go sit out front after this is over.
Yeah, exactly, guys. And I'm like, I will give you $5 if you say yes to him right now. I still to this day remember the way she looked at me was, I mean, just venom. Like if I could see venom shooting out of a human and leaching into another body, like it was hatred. And I just looked around and go, hey, they're going to talk about it, folks. Give them a round of applause. 175 people, and I got three of these. And they sat down, and it was so awkward. The rest of my set, totally destroyed. The feature, nothing. It took the headliner 15 minutes before he got them into his set.
Wow.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal.
I mean, I imagine that guy's used to letdowns, so I mean, it couldn't have been that bad for him.
Yeah, and he's traumatized.
Right.
He's the one that'll be hurt over the whole thing. She didn't like, well, that worked in a movie once.
And her thing is like, I never did anything to give you the idea that this was going to be a thing.
Right.
Well, you brushed my shoulder that one time. Remember that time?
You lightly smiled at me, at one. Oh my God. Yeah, it was so brutal. And it happened at our club the other night too, where a guy asked the girl and she didn't even say anything. She just looked at him and went, huh?
Why at a comedy club?
Nothing more symbolic than the act, I guess.
To me, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why a comedy club? I don't know.
Right.
Unless they just really liked you, Sean, and they're like, this is where I want to do it.
Right.
John's comedy club.
I've married a couple people before.
Yes.
Yeah, Reverend's license. Yeah.
Oh.
You got married. You got married.
Yeah,
Oh.
I know.
So-
And it's one of the worst things that ever happened to me. In my
I know, right? But then you had a comedian do it. That's what
That's what
is
I
that how
did.
it works? Because then it was you, and then Mendenhall got married, and that didn't work. And then there were a couple others. Back when I mean, I don't know what I to be really honest, I sent away on the back of one of these magazines there was ads for being a detective, for being a bounty hunter, and for being getting a priest license, or like being a really. And I just mailed off for them, and some church in Chula Vista, California, sent Gerry Gobel a license to be a minister, and so I just did it because that was like, well, and then technically I can do this. And everybody's like, "We're going to save $300." I'm like, "Yeah, it just became unholy." This guy did it. This guy's the worst person. Why would you do it? I'm better now. Now I'd be a little better, but back then I was like, nah, I think you're a little too atheistic for it to be playing holy man or whatever. But now that I know about the dome, I'm fixed. I'm better.
Come
now.
up with like stipulations and be like, I'm only going to do it in my boxer briefs. I'll marry you, but I'm only wearing boxer briefs. Gingerness is all showing.
Get what you pay for. What you see is what you get. Don't expect more than this.
I will not charge you anything besides some footage. That's
right. Marry the right guy. Know what you're getting before you get in there, so you have less to fix.
Is there an 80%? Is there 80% chance this is going to fail? Because I will definitely do it.
Right.
I guess my suggestion would be like, if you're going to ask somebody to marry you, one, don't do it in a public place in front of thousands of people or hundreds of people, whatever it is, unless you are just sure and she has been begging you, let's get married. Fine. That case, fine. But if you have any shred of doubt, one, don't ask her to marry you, but two, just do it somewhere nice on a beach, or in a park where people are offering ice cream. I don't know. But just don't make it a public spectacle in a tight place where there are hundreds of people and she or he is put on the spot. It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing?
Unless it's part of the grooming process, maybe. Is that a grooming thing? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you were going to manipulate somebody into doing it, is that what you would do?
I don't know. I'm not a groomer, so I don't know. I don't know. Over at Chester.
Well, that's kind of like when I have guests on. I try to kind of know who they are before I just have them on. At least know a little bit about them or have a conversation with them. Like you guys having somebody on stage, same thing. Like you had no idea what this dude was about to do,
right?
And then it just made the whole damn rest of the night just awkward as hell.
Yeah.
All right, next up. The elevator doors opened up and a guy walked in. It was just me and him in there. He suddenly said, "I love you," and I'm not a rude man, so I said, "I love you too." He gave me a weird look and pointed at his Bluetooth earphone.
And then you point to your ear and act like, "Oh no, yeah, I love you too." Whoa, what a crazy conversation to be having coincidentally at the same time. Amazing.
Or you lean into the awkwardness, and when he points to his Bluetooth, you just shake your head and go no, and then you reach out and you like this, very long and awkward.
That is the nicest thing that anybody's ever told.
Oh,
hug his legs, start humping him.
Right, right.
I said lean in, not get charges brought on you.
Hey, he initiated it.
Yeah, that's the
That's
argument.
right.
Judge. He told me he loved me. I was
right
at a comedy club.
Yes means yes.
Dude, honestly though, the Bluetooth earphones, man. Nowadays, everybody's fucking talking in the Bluetooth earphones. So it looks like everybody's talking to themselves all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be a higher power was talking to us. Now it's grandma making sure we're bringing the green bean casserole.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
People standing in front of the freezer door just yelling, "Which one do you want? Do you want the frozen peas or do you want
Internal voices, sir. Internal voices.
Have you guys had awkward elevator encounters? I mean, I've definitely farted in an elevator with other people, and that was weird.
Oh, I've crop dusted a few myself. Yeah.
Yes.
Not on purpose, but usually it's one of those things where you're blaming someone else. You kind of make that look like, is that you? What? Oh,
You want to talk about awkward silence? I mean,
right.
nobody wants to. It's almost one of those things where everybody thinks like they almost question if it was them or not because it could be.
Yeah, because this thing smelled like an armpit when you got into it.
Right.
You know. But I think what ruins it is if you put the lighter up when you do it, then they'll know it's you. But you'll be like, man, that felt good. I dropped a pant size, so.
I had an awkward elevator encounter in Atlanta. I was going to the club, and now this was back when I weighed almost 400 pounds. I was like 12 or 13 shy of 400, so I was massive. And I talk about this on stage too because I always hear comics do. It's kind of a hacky joke, but I lived it, so I know it's real. So I get on the elevator, and it's just me. And then right before the doors close, this little old lady, I mean, she must have been like 90 years old and maybe weighed 100 pounds, shuffles on the elevator, and the doors close. And she, guys, like literally, she's standing there, and you know how they have the weight limit sign and persons and everything? She literally looks up at that, and then she looks over at me. Right. And then, hand to God, this happened. She shuffles over to the side, and that little silver railing that's there, and she grabs a hold of it.
Like that's going to make a difference if the whole thing goes down.
Right. But it's just the whole operation. I'm just like, it was just, and on the stage, I said, you know what I did next? And then I jump up and down, and everybody laughs. Ha ha ha. I didn't do that. But I mean, it was just like, it was like this farcical thing that has been talked, because Louis Anderson used to make a joke about that. But then I like literally lived through it, but it was cringy and awkward because, you know, like it just made me feel terrible. I was already feeling bad about myself, you know, and then she's looking at me like, wow, you're going to make this whole operation fail. Like we've got 100,000-pound test cables up here, but you, sir, you know, and your love of Oreos is going to destroy us.
Well, they say if you want to survive like an elevator thing, like if the thing falls, it's at your best to lay flat.
Yeah. So I've heard.
Which is crazy that's something that's been thought about a lot. Because you're like, what would you do? Would you jump up in the air at the last second with that? I always thought that was a smooth move, but apparently that would have been the worst. You know, hit the ceiling quicker. Yes. You know, take myself out, then I'm not going to have to, you know, explain myself at the bottom of the shaft. I've been stuck in an elevator a couple times, so it's either that or the zombie apocalypse. Like if I was stuck and I had to climb out of this thing in the door, could I even do that? You know, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, you know, and all those.
I've been trapped in a lot of places. Generally, everything's an escape room to me. I think you're like, I don't know, man. I may need to bail.
Including this.
They might know I'm high. I got to get out of here. Is that a window?
You know, it's fun. There are zombie films. I feel like a lot of them. There's elevator scenes where somebody's trapped in an elevator.
Mm-hmm. And then it closes real slow, and then they tap the buttons, and you know, and then you know the first time all the zombies got to do is this, and you're smoked. Just
maybe the zombie was just trying to catch a ride down.
Right.
And there's that awkward thing where you're trying to close the door on them, and they got in, and they're just looking at you like,
right.
I assume like if there ever is like some weird outbreak like that, it'll be like a rabies outbreak. It wouldn't be an actual zombie apocalypse. It'd be like a rabies outbreak.
Yeah. World War Z with their chicken people.
Yeah.
The chicken zombies.
Everybody just needs to get tiny.
Yeah. Well, if they are those kind of zombies, then that means that they won't eat terminally ill people, which means you give the Make-A-Wish kids the absolute greatest fantasy ever.
And I'm a ginger, so I'm good.
Right.
I thought it was funny, but you guys didn't laugh, so it's all good.
No,
I like gingers. I feel bad for the whole.
I'm sorry. I was having visions of, you guys know that old movie, Jerry? I'm sure you do because you're a history.
Old. Got it.
Well, no. Remember the movie Metropolis, the black and white?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
And the crowd's shuffling into the elevator as the ones are shuffling out.
Right.
And, you're saying, like, you guys are talking about the zombie apocalypse. I'm just sitting here going, are we sure we're not zombies now?
Right.
Like, going into work and coming out. And
Yeah, basically.
sorry, I
This
didn't mean to
No,
feel
you're
the
good.
funny in the room, everybody.
That's okay.
Jesus. Just ask me if you want me to marry you.
Elevator shaft dead.
Right. But if you could take a bunch of them with you, what would the weight limit be? And how many zombies would come after the door that would fall down the shaft with you? And then would that fall kill them? Or can you kill a zombie with a fall? I mean, if they fall on their head, maybe. But
have you seen the movie Dead Alive?
No, I have not.
It's from the original creator of the original King Kong, the guy who made that one. Made Dead Alive. It's also called Brain Dead in other countries. And it's basically like this Egyptian rat monkey that comes off the same island that King Kong comes off of. And it's at the zoo. And this mom is like following her son who's on a date and gets bit by this rat monkey. And so she ends up turning into a zombie. And her son's like taking care of her in the house. And the whole film takes place in the house. So he's taking care of her and like he's bringing nurses and like priests into the house and she turns all of them. Right. And like, so her uncle's like, or his uncle is like trying to take the property from him and like throws a party. And like, so there's this huge zombie outbreak. It's a very comical, but very gory zombie film back in like the 70s, maybe 60s. It's great.
Right. That's cool. I'll check that out. It's fun.
It's great. It's called Brain Dead or Dead Alive. You could probably find it either way.
Okay. Cool.
And I mean, this dude literally takes a chain, like a lawnmower, and straps it to his chest and just runs through a lobby full of zombies.
There we are, the lawnmowers. I knew the lawnmowers were useful.
I know that
dude.
Film.
Yes, it's great. Dude.
Okay,
it's great. It is.
That's
got
awesome.
Some very iconic scenes in it. Like it's fantastic.
Yep. Sweet.
Yep.
Sweet.
That's
like,
almost like Evil Dead level camp.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
Yes. Talking about Bruce Campbell, that guy's a fucking genius. Yep. All right, next up. This guy in the bathroom wearing a cowboy hat just greeted me with a howdy, brother, and I panicked and said, yeehaw. Hey, bathroom encounters are always so awkward.
Yeah.
Right.
No matter what.
Well, at least you didn't say moo moo buckaroo. That would have been worse. That would have been like moo moo buckaroo.
Is there a way
Welcome to the stock joke. Seriously, kids. Seriously.
I was gonna say, is there a way to say moo moo buckaroo that doesn't sound like you're coming on to?
It's a great joke. Moo moo buckaroo. I remember that in 4th grade. I was like, that was that in fart football. If you remember that one, block that punt. Block that punt.
I don't. You said yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
There needs to be like a colloquialism dictionary when he's like, howdy, partner. You pull out hold on a second. What up, oh, wait, nope.
Right.
A response dictionary.
Right.
Sean, you got to make one.
It's like that, the Swedish dictionary that was on Monty Python.
Yes. Oh,
my hovercraft is full of eels. I would like to touch your nipples, bouncy, bouncy.
bouncy. As
my nipples explode with delight.
As these cops are dragging him out, and he's like, "No, I'm trying to say the thing." It's still horrible.
It's great.
I've only seen the Holy Grail. I've never seen.
The show is cool. There's the thing that a lot of people don't take into account is like they go and they watch and they go, well, it's not relevant or whatever. But things are different now than that back then. See, I'm a history guy, so for me, it's to go back to look at what was really going on at the time, and that's where a lot of their references are at. So some of this stuff is alien to everybody unless you do a little research. But the stuff they do with the wordplay is pretty good all the way across. So they do surrealist humor. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just dumb to be dumb.
Well, I think about the like in the Holy Grail one where they're like, "How do you know she's a witch?"
Right.
And there's
She turned me into a newt.
Yeah.
Caught that. Yeah.
What else floats on water? Wood.
Small pebbles.
Duck.
Duck.
Well, they did.
No, she's a
The thing is, it's like, I think it's because they affected this air of eliteness, in what they were doing because they were so very British. But then they do the fish slapping dance where, he's
Right.
bouncing back and forth and slapping him with these tiny fish. And then he pulls out like this AK-47 of
Right.
mackerels and whap.
Yeah.
It's the other guy into the river. I mean, it's just.
So there's an actual TV series.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
There's some really crazy stuff on it, too. I mean,
I'll look it up because I'm sure.
yeah. And the thing is like when she noticed the change, there's John Cleese is in it. It gets really more surreal after Cleese leaves because he goes off to do Faulty Towers. And
which was brilliant.
yeah, it was a whole nother one. That's when, if you haven't seen the original Faulty Towers, Basil the Rat is probably the best episode, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Manuel loses his hamsters. That's all right, and it's in the hotel, and I don't know, it's funny. But he's just an abusive guy. I say like today, I think people would be really like the sensitives would have a problem with it because he's very abusive to everybody, and that's kind of what's funny. He's abusive, but then it's like it all plays back on him,
Oh yeah,
because he gets punished. He gets exactly what he deserves, but in a society that doesn't want anybody to be too mean, how do you create that contrast?
Yeah, but he's also the rube in it because it's like he's just trying to get a tiny bit of satisfaction of something in his life that's for him, and he has nothing because his wife is terrible and his servants are the only person in there that's smart, I think, is Polly.
Yeah.
God, what a great series that was.
Yeah, but the original Python stuff was really, you should check it out.
All right.
100%, man. 100%.
I will do that because what you guys just told me was gibberish to me. So
there's the killer joke that they did that was like, this guy writes a joke that's so funny you die, you laugh till you die. And this guy's in there doing Ernest Scribbler. He writes his joke down and he laughs so hard he dies. His mother comes in thinking it's a suicide note, so she picks it up and reads it, laughs and dies. And then there's a sequence of events of everybody trying to figure out what's going on, so they're all reading the joke and dying. And then the government steps in and they send people in, and then the military gets a hold of it and they transfer it over into German, and that's how we won the war. They were running through the fields telling this joke, and it was like, it's hilarious. So good. The writing was top shelf, but that's, again, there's something else that's a lost art that, they were all philosophy majors. So they were all like supposed to be doctors, but they wound up being philosophy majors.
But they were also, didn't they go, was it Oxford?
Yeah. Or Cambridge.
Yeah. Wildly intelligent gentlemen.
There's an Australian group that does skits, and it's called The Gentleman's Guide to Knife Fighting. And they,
Never heard of them.
Yeah, you can find them on YouTube. And there's one where they're reenacting a like kitchen porn scene, and they have like the human resource guy in the background, and he keeps like cutting the scene to make sure like everything is safe for the scene. Like, so he's making sure like the counter is sturdy and safe and like they're positioned properly.
Right.
And, like, making them it's hilarious.
When your intimacy coordinator is also the prop guy.
Yeah.
And be like, hang on, I like you guys doing it okay? Hang on, I gotta check this chair. All right, stand up.
It ends up like with him like reenacting like the pumping motion, making sure that they're using the right button, and then he like gets off and makes the whole thing awkward.
Not again.
So see, it wraps back around to the subject for today, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, folks, this is how you do it. This is ergonomic. All right.
All right. Next up, it says I work at a bank, and this lady came in with a $150,000 check, and to make conversation, I was like, "Oh wow, I wish I had one of these." Then she stared at me and said, "It's a life insurance check."
Your first one? First time?
I feel like that dead silence you guys just had there for a second is exactly how I would have responded.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Holy cow! Like it.
Sorry for your loss.
But
what are you doing for dinner?
Do you want these in 20s?
So what you're saying is you got some room at the house,
So you're single.
right? Picking up widows. That's the end game for old white dudes.
You could buy a double.
Hey, baby, is this your house?
That's tough because that's one of those innocent ones that, he's just trying to make a playful joke.
Yeah.
Because the other side of that is you've got somebody that is just, you're sitting at behind in this whole rat race bullshit thing that we've been trapped into, and he's just trying to make it through the day and make small conversation. Sees a big check. Hey, wish I had one of those. My husband died.
Yeah.
Okay, like, I'm sorry. Obviously, I was trying to make small talk, but you want to throw your grief in my face. Fine. I'm sure he did it on purpose to get away from you.
Yeah.
Enjoy your $150,000.
like
And maybe that's what she's covering up. Maybe
Well,
she's real uptight about it because who the hell? How do you know she's got $150,000? Did she say so, or did you read it off the check? You was dropping enough you could read it off the check.
Well,
it sounds like she told you. Sounds like she told you, and now you go call it out. I wish I had one of those. Well, yeah, but now I'm being investigated for murder. No, I don't. I didn't kill him.
I actually joke with my wife about that all the time. I'm like, if you do kill me, you better make sure that nobody knows that you did it because you won't get the money.
See, that seems to me to be more awkward, is having the conversation with a loved one that actually says, well, at some point, I could possibly kill you. Just so you know. But I really feel like as part of our marriage is we got to keep the life insurance up just to keep your ass in line. As if you act up. Mama's going to the bank.
There's a problem whenever they're watching like all that murder porn, like another 48 hours and stuff on TV, and they're taking notes.
Right. Right. He didn't sign the policy. How could you be so dumb, Gertrude? You
killed him for nothing again.
You dot your I's and cross your T's before you murder your husband, okay?
And on the next episode of Law and Order.
Right. And then just tell everybody he abused you and nobody will say a word.
Yeah.
Cash that check, baby.
Right. I feel like that's one of those am I the asshole situations though, like, because you really don't know. Like, I feel like that person's not in the wrong for trying to make a comedy out of it.
Right.
At all.
Not at all.
And that person's not necessarily wrong, but it's like they didn't know that, so you can't really be mad at them for doing that.
Right.
I get that you're in a rough spot, but come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Be real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Like, it's awkward, but at the end of the day, the person that said the thing, I wish I had one of those, you shouldn't feel bad about yourself. Because again, you're just trying to get through your day.
Yeah. Yeah. I got one more for us, all right?
Yeah.
It says, I saw a girl carrying a hamster, so I asked if I could pet it, but it was actually a muffin.
In which case, she asked, can I pet your muffin? And then it got even more weird. Please don't touch my muffin. That would have been like, I love your mongoose. It's a muffin. Don't touch my muffin.
That's one of those weird situations that if that happened, it could have either been she could have laughed it off and just been like, it's a muffin. And then you both have a good laugh, or she goes, it's a muffin.
Right.
And
it wasn't moving, so you should have known it was dead.
And when I took a bite out of it,
I'm trying to see. I'm curious what kind of hamster looks like.
It's an Ozzy Osbourne girl type thing. It's like she's a sideshow geek on the side. She's just working out.
Dude, he looks at it and he says,
"It's a muffin."
I want to pet your hamster, and she just very quickly goes. You're like, what are you doing?
Signs your new girlfriend might be a lizard people.
Will you marry me?
Deep throating mongooses for lunch. You've got. She's just chowing down on the hamster or two. She's cutting back. I had cottage cheese with it. I don't want it to go to my gullet.
He might be goth. He might be like, dude, watch what she does to a hamster. Here you go, baby.
Right.
She has to follow through with it, or she's not cool.
Right.
What if it was actually your hamster named Muffin? That would be even funnier.
Right.
Wow.
And then you take a bite out of it. Oh, lady. Damn it.
It's a bit crunchy.
Why do you vex me with these hamster flavored treats?
These are lizard people.
And it's male, and I asked you if it had no nuts, but you didn't. I'm anaphylactic.
As we're talking about eating a weird ass hamsters, have you guys eaten anything weird, like weird animals before? I think the weirdest thing I've had is like squirrel.
Huh.
How's that weird?
I mean, it's the weirdest thing I've had. I don't know.
Oh, wait,
I
are you a
would say it's
city
weird.
kid?
I'm a city kid, yeah.
Oh, okay, that would make sense then. All right.
I've had well, I guess I've had alligator tail, but that's not really. I mean, I don't
Oh,
know.
that's cool.
I've had dried squid. We had a foreign exchange student, Takanobu Tsumori, who lived with us when I was in 7th grade, and for them, this combination of like dried squid and peas and something else is like, I don't know, Doritos to us.
Mm.
And he brought a bunch of it over with him, and stuffed all the bags into the dresser drawer.
Mm-hmm.
And my room smelled like the seashore for months.
Gross.
So yeah, I think that's probably the weirdest thing I've had. Pretty sure.
What about you, Jerry?
I don't really think I've had anything weird. I had bison. That's not really weird.
That's not really that weird now.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as anything exotic,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I haven't been totally broke yet. So at a point when my career goes full circle and I'm living on the streets, I'm sure I'll be eating a lot of strange things. Maybe a hamster or two. I don't know. We talked about it a lot today. I'm kind of getting a peckish.
Yeah, I mean, they're not very expensive. You can go down to the pet store and get a couple.
Right. I mean, I've had octopus or squid or whatever, but it's chewy. It was chewy.
That it's a texture thing. I can't do it, man. Like calamari and stuff like that. I can't do it, man.
Yeah. To me, it was like chewing on like I don't know, like a mouth guard. The one you use in football. You put them in your mouth. I'm just chewing. I mean, I don't chew because I like to chew. That's just to break it down to get it so I can go back to playing games. I'm not here for I'm not here for taste.
I'm lost.
Yeah. Squid and hamster side dish. It's a local Norwegian thing. You wouldn't understand.
You just substitute the hamster for the squid. That's all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's in times of famine because sometimes
I know.
Sometimes you're out of potatoes.
I know the weirdest thing I've had. It wasn't the dried squid. Shrimp chips.
Shrimp chips.
I've had shrimp chips. I've had like dried shrimp chips. Yeah.
Yeah. But the shrimp chips I'm talking about. Okay, so we were doing these podcasts for a while. Pat Gaughan, Mike Barnett, and a couple other guys from Comedy Deli. And Pat and I would always do food challenges because we weren't afraid to like try things, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the group.
Right.
And so we went to this foreign market and we got these things called shrimp chips, but the ones that we got weren't the actual like potato chip type chips. They were actually flavored chips that had been like dried down to like this. It was like they were thick, and you were supposed to put them into a boiling pot of water to create shrimp flavor. And so Pat and I put these there, and it was like chewing on glass as it was breaking up.
Oh, that sounds god awful.
You're not supposed to eat them, and it's just shrimpy and sharp, and it's hurting our teeth. And we're looking at each other like, "Why would you eat this? You don't, dummies." So yeah, the shrimp.
It's like snorting the packet in the ramen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man.
It's not drugs. They're not smuggling stuff into the country, man. That's a season.
I didn't.
They don't write on there anywhere in English that it isn't a drug. So how am I supposed to know?
They have the world's hottest sucker. It's called the toe of Satan. And I did a show on here. We did that. I had this guy called the Hot Sauce Boss on, and it was me and a couple other guys. We all got this sucker. We got this ghost pepper ramen noodles, and then we finished it with this sucker. And this sucker it tasted like a hot tamale, but like the capsaicin on it, like so your saliva is what gets hot. And you have to hold it in your mouth for 5 minutes. It was It was so rough. I did it, but it was god
Wow. For 5 minutes. That,
Yeah.
Jeez.
And you still have a ton of sucker left over by the time you're done.
So is Satan Toe. That sounds almost like a Nickelodeon thing.
Yeah.
You know, why are we sucking on toes over here? What's going on?
well, let's
Well,
ask the
first you gotta
producer,
kinda
Dan.
Do you got to keep Dan Snyder's foot in your mouth for 5 minutes? Is that how it works?
Part of the instructions is to just use the tip of your tongue and kind of lick it, just the tip of it a little bit.
Wow. How long did it take for you were normal? After
It took at least an hour or so before I actually felt kind of all right. I mean, I was chugging milk. It was rough.
right. So yeah, but as far as like afterwards, the runs, you didn't have the runs or anything like that.
I already
Flaming butthole.
I already have butthole issues. Man,
Right.
I don't know if it's normal to go 2 to 3 times a day, but I already do. So adding that aspect to it did not help.
Yeah.
Speaking of awkward moments,
Right.
it's already
The moment you find out you're an alternative fuel source, you're like, wow.
Oh, you're out of gas.
It'll be like a Tesla charger hooked up to my ass. I'll be out.
Go grab me that toe of Satan real quick. I got you.
Yeah.
Oh God! And somebody's just speaking of butthole issues. They've taken the toe of Satan, and inserted it. They have so.
Oh man.
Yeah.
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 I'm gonna break a record right here. Watch this, guys.
Yeah. Right. That'll put some snapback in it. It's like, I don't know, the burning away dead brush. I don't know. I don't know how to put it any other way that sounds delicate, but there's layers of skin being dissolved. I don't know, man.
And the thing is, somebody has done it, and then I just think after that thought, the people that want population control, like Bill Gates and stuff, they may have a point. 'Cause we're out here taking the toe of Satan.
So what if that became like an OnlyFans challenge or something like that? Is that so? Like, if you could turn that to nefarious means, like they always do, like these challenges that get kids killed, what would be the dumbest thing you could do with this thing? It could.
I'm thinking more. I'm thinking more BDSM. Some
right
bondage play. Hey, I'm about to stick this in your butthole.
Right. This is a snuff flick anyway. He ain't gonna be here in the end of the show, so here you go. See what you see. And then Nicolas Cage will find them film later and have to solve it.
What do they call those women who like guys hire to beat them?
Dominators.
Yeah, there you go. Great. You girls, there's a new.
I'm a dominator.
Just have that guy clean your floors with one of those in his asshole.
Right. And he's a guy that's got all of his furniture is actually like bondage equipment.
Charge him an extra $10,000 for the toe of Satan in his ass.
Yeah. The BD stands for butt destruction.
For sure.
All right, guys.
That's a crazy way to end.
Let's wrap the show up with some butt topic there.
All right. Speaking of the flaming lips, are you going to go?
Too bad I don't have an outro with some flaming lips going on.
Right? Yeah. Yoshimi versus the pink robot. Okay. That sounds subjective.
Jerry, I
probably
appreciate
got
you coming on today, man.
Oh, no problem. Glad you can have me.
Yeah, hey, Sean.
I'm glad you like the backdrop too. It's all
no, it's perfect, man. Sean, Sean, appreciate you getting up this early too, both of you.
Yeah,
always a pleasure, my friend.
It's Stardom's always a fun show, man, because there's never really an expectation with it. The conversation is meant to be as random as hell, and as long as it's going, I don't care.
We got there.
Yeah, accomplished.
Right.
All right, and everybody that's tuning in, I appreciate you. If you watched today, then I thank you. If you're listening later or watching later, appreciate you. Subscribe to the channel, tell your friends about it, and until next time, we'll see you around.